are you today? Well, today, Hannah House, which we sometimes talk about the people on the streets. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the prison division of Hannah House. As many know, for the last probably 18, maybe more than 18 years, we've been writing to prisoners and maybe locating their family members or trying to help in any way we can. But, today we're going to talk about the sickness and the health care inside prisons. I got a letter this morning from a really nice lady, Sybil. She is 56 years old. She's doing life. And she's asking if we can do some research on the health care inside the prisons. She is from Michigan, and she says that, some of it is really, really sad because there's elderly people inside that are just not getting proper care. Now, I'm not saying everybody, and I'm not saying every state. I'm just saying that this is what this letter said. And because I really don't know much about it, to be honest with you. I have written to people that have been very, very sick inside prison, and they've never said anything. They've maybe just accepted their fate and whatever. But this letter really touched my heart this morning because she was saying that she has tried in different areas to get different people involved, different governments, the governors, and different people that could make a difference. And she says nobody ever gets back to her. So, she works with different organizations on the outside, and she's contacted Hannah House, and she said, could you please just do some research for me? And, it really touched my heart because I remember a guy called Tony, and he passed away. But every morning when I was on Ferry Avenue, here's how it started. I used to get up around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I would make a cup of coffee. And if anybody knows, the house on Ferry Avenue, it was beautiful, and it had a great big porch. And so I would make my coffee, and I would sit there about 7 o'clock in the morning and just enjoy the beginning of a new day. And one morning I make my coffee and I'm sitting out there and I'm just relaxing. And along comes Tony. Now, Tony, I never knew his last name, but he looked up and he said, "Hi, Ann," because many times Tony had come to me asking, for maybe a coat or socks or something like that. And I said, "Oh, Tony, how are you?" I said, "Do you want a cup of coffee?" He says, "I would love one." And Tony came up and sat on the porch with me that morning. And I looked at him and I said, "How was your night, Tony?" Because he looked pretty rough. And he says, "I slept under a porch last night." And he said, it was pretty tough. Now, Tony, I would say, was close to 60. I don't know much about his family or anything, but my heart went out to Tony, And so I went in the house and I made him some pancakes. And I says, "Listen, Tony, you and I are going to sit and have breakfast." Well, that became a ritual for Tony and I for a few weeks. And then I started to see the need for others that were living outside that were hungry in the morning. I wake up in the morning, I don't know about you, but I wake up in the morning and it's like, I got to get that coffee pot on so I can have a cup of coffee. And I thought to myself, poor Tony, like circumstances had brought him to this place in his life, but he had a heart of gold. He had a heart of gold. And, I thought about him being an elderly man living in that situation. And I saw Tony, I had to go to Pennsylvania for a while, and when I came back, I saw Tony, and he said, "When are you going to have that coffee again, Ann?" And I said, "Oh, Tony, I don't know. I still have some loose ends to take care of in Pennsylvania." And I said, "Tony, I have to go back for a little bit, And I said, "But don't worry, But I looked at Tony that day and his hands were just shaking. His whole body was shaking. And I knew he was going through the withdrawals of alcohol. I knew it. And, I looked at Tony and I thought, what if Tony was my brother? Or what if he was my dad? What would I do? What would I really do to help Tony? I wouldn't condemn him, that's for sure. And I wouldn't say, well, you should have done this. And I thought, I'd probably hand my dad $1.50 or $2 and say, Daddy, go get that drink just to calm you, because it's really bad, the addiction, especially alcohol too. It's really, really bad. And that's exactly what I did that morning. I gave Tony $2 and I said, Tony, go get yourself a beer. Now I probably, some of you out there saying, oh, Ann, what are you doing? But I felt it was the right thing to do. And Tony said, Ann, I love you, thank you. Tony never asked me for anything like that. That came from me. And, I went back to Pennsylvania, and a week later I got a call saying that Tony had been hit by a car and killed. And I often thought about Tony. I still think about Tony and the different things, that he had to suffer through. And when I got this letter this morning, it really touched me, because I thought there's elderly people in prison that sure they have a little cell, and sure they have a bed to sleep on, and yes, they're getting their meals, and they got a roof over their head, and they don't have responsibility, and when the freezing cold comes, they're not out laying in the snow, or they're not laying under a porch somewhere. But what came to me was some of them are quite sick. I know that. Very, very sick. And I thought to myself, if that was your dad, your uncle, your brother, your mom, your sister, friend, and they were sick and needed some type of health care. And I'm not just talking an aspirin or a Tylenol. I'm not talking that, but some real serious health care. What would you do? Would you try to fight for them? Or would you just say, well, they deserve it because, 30, 40 years ago, they robbed a place and someone got murdered. And I can see all that side of it too. Don't get me wrong, because I can. But when I read this lady's letter this morning, I thought, maybe if I put this out there and let people give their opinion of this, if nothing else, if they have any information on this lady's out of Michigan. If they have any information or anybody that we could contact, or just any organizations that are maybe doing this, because I don't know, and I'm asking for your help, okay? I need your help. And, sometimes people think I got it all together, but I don't. But I need your help. And, my heart is with the prisoners. My heart is really there. And I'm asking you today, please, send me an email. It's going to be at the bottom of the screen. Send me an email and let me know your situation. Let me know. Maybe you've been in prison, and maybe you've done 40 years in prison, and you've said, and there was times I needed help and I didn't get it. Or there was times I needed help and I got it right away. Like, I don't know, and I need to know. So please message me, or leave a message under this video, and a contact number. I'll try to get hold of you. And let's see if we can't reach into prisons and help where it can be helped. The Bible is pretty clear. You call yourself a Christian? Well, the Bible is pretty clear. Like, I've heard so many people say, well, I'm a Christian. I'm just praying to see what God's will is for my life. Well, you know what God's will is for your life? Read the Bible. And you know what it says? I was hungry and you fed me. I needed clothes and you gave them to me. I was in prison and you visited me. Some can't visit, like one-on-one, but some can write a letter. And we're asking also if you'd like to write some letters to prisoners. We've got a whole bunch of them that's asking for a pen pal. But today I'm really interested in healthcare inside prisons, and I'm just putting this out there, like I said, to get some feedback. Okay, so have a blessed day. Be thankful that you can go to your coffee pot, put some coffee in there, and have a good morning cup of coffee, and that you don't have to crawl out from under somebody's porch, because it's really cold out there today. Just be thankful for the small things we have in life, the small things that are so important, because so many people don't have them. God bless you. Have a great day, and please give me some feedback. Bye-bye.